Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video today we will be going over the stam sort for Elsweyr. This is the Prince Vegeta. Alright, those that for those that didn't call me a dumbass in the comment section, I appreciate it. But either way, let's go ahead and get into the build. I have 64 points into stamina. The max health is 17.1k. My maximum stamina is 30.3k. Stam recovery is 1.6. Weapon damage is 3.5, and weapon critical is 60%. Well, boon I'm running is the Thief, and I'm using Dubious Camoran. Now, champion points. I have 28 into Warlord, 37 into Sprinter, 64 Mooncalf, 64 Tenacity, 37 Shadow Ward, 40 Tumbling. I have 25 into Physical Weapon Expert, 51 into Master at Arms, 48 Thermonic, 66 Precise Strike, 24 Piercing, and 64 Mighty. 40 Ironclad, 30 Spell Shield, 29 Medium Armor Focus, 64 Hardy, 64 Elemental Defender, and 43 Quick Recovery. Now, sets. The first set that I'm rocking, the monster set is Stormfist. I'm running a heavy Divines with max health and a medium shoulder Divines with max stamina. Now, what this does, it gives a stam recovery, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a Thunder Fist to crush the enemy, dealing 2k shock damage every 1 second for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and a final 10.8k physical damage when the fist closes. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. I love this on a stam sword. That extra shock damage is nice. If you don't want to run Stormfist, the other sets that you can run, or the other options, would be sets like Krogs, which comes from Fungal Grotto 1, which gives physical penetration. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to spawn Dreg Limbs. They create shockwaves in front of you, dealing 1.7k physical damage every 0.4 seconds for 1.2 seconds. This effect can occur once every 3 seconds. Which this is actually a pretty cool little set as well. You get like little tentacles that come up out of your back. It's pretty cool. Celine's adds max stamina. When you deal direct melee damage, you have 15% chance calling on Primal Spirit. That mauls the closest enemy in front of you after 1.3 seconds for 16.3 physical damage. This effect can occur once every 4 seconds. And then Veldrath. Cries comes from Fungal Grotto 1. Celine's comes from Celine's Web. And then Veldrath comes from Cradle of Shadows. There it is. Gives weapon damage. When you deal damage, you have a 20% chance to spawn 3 disease spores in front of you after 1 second that deal 13.5k disease damage to the first enemy they hit. This effect can occur once every 9 seconds. So, those are pretty much the monster sets. Those 4. I like Stormfist personally because of the extra shock damage that you get from the passives on the Sork. So it just looks pretty cool. So, first 5-piece set we are running is an old school set. Vicious Athenian. Gives us weapon critical, gives us minor slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to dungeon trial and arena monsters by 5%, gives us weapon crit, weapon damage, and reduce cost of your stamina abilities by 8%. When an enemy you have recently damaged dies, you restore 2.1k stamina and gain major expedition for 8 seconds, increase your movement speed by 30%. I love this set. Run it 5 pieces, all in the body, all divines, all max stamina. Now, the second 5-piece set we are running. This took me a while to form in itself, but it was worth it. I love it. I love having them. I love wearing them together. They're an old school meta setup. Second 5-piece set we're running is Twice Fanged, or the Twice Fanged Serpent set. We're running Jewelry, 2 Bloodthirsty, 1 Infused, all weapon damage enchant. Then we're running 2 Daggers on our front bar, 1 Infused with a Absorb Stamina enchant, and a Nern with Poison damage enchant on it. So, the reason why we're running Infused here is because this is going to give us physical penetration, so the sharpened here isn't really necessarily needed. So, then on our back bar, we have a Maelstrom Bow infused with a weapon damage enchant, and this increases the damage volley deals by 161 each tick. This bonus increases by 56 every time volley ticks. Now, what Two Fang does, or the Two Fang Snake, Two Fang Serpent. I don't know why it says snake at the top and serpent in the part of the Twice Fang Serpent. I never understood that. If anybody knows that or knows why they did that, let me know, because I'm confused. I've always been curious about that. But anyways, What this does, it gives us weapon damage, max stamina, weapon critical, and when you deal damage, your physical penetration is increased by 860 for 3 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So, 4-man content, this is an amazing setup, it works great. When you go into trials, I would switch out the 2-fang snake because you will be over penetrating for the most part nowadays. So, switch this out to maybe a Y. Let's see. Well, let's just go ahead and go over the sets. So, you can switch this out with Tooth. Adds weapon damage, minor Slayer at all times, weapon damage, and then when you activate your synergy, gain Major Slayer for 15 seconds, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. So, definitely you can switch out that for this. You can even go, let's see here, Alkosh. If your tank isn't running it, you can have a set of this. I always keep a set on my stam DPS just in case our tanks don't have it, or we're put in a position where the tanks are not with the groups, or for whatever reason the tank can't be. Like when we solo, when you have a tank that's solo tanking vet AA, he pulls axes and stuff away from the boss, so he's not going to be close enough to give it Alkosh. I'll throw this set on myself and allow me to debuff the boss for the rest of the group. Let's see here. Let's go to Overland sets. Let me scroll up. Okay, so Spriggans, same thing. When you go into the draw scenario, you're going to be over penetrating. So a nice little set to have that wouldn't be bad to have would be if you want to be more serious, you got Briarheart here who gives you weapon damage and stuff like that. When you deal critical damage, you have a 10% chance to increase your weapon damage by 449 for 10 seconds. While this effect is active, your critical strike heals you for 609 health. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. Or, if you want to go for more straight raw power, you can always go with the Ravager set. This gives us weapon crit, max health, weapon damage, and when you deal melee damage, you have an 8% chance to increase your weapon damage by 645 for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. If you do use this set, then I would drop the health glyph on your helmet. Make that stamina, So we are running a max health glyph here. You can drop that and just run a maximum stamina glyph, and that'll boost your stamina up a little higher, and it'll still keep you around a little more health than what you are. When it comes to dungeon sets, if you're looking for that, you can always go Leviathan. Let's see, where are the dungeon sets? Well, it's in alphabetical order. Ooh. I don't know what I'm thinking right now. But either way, dungeon sets. Automaton's a really good set to have as well. It gives you weapon crit, max stamina, weapon damage. Adds 400 weapon damage to your physical damage abilities. Every damage ability we have is a physical damage ability, except for poison injection. It's poison damage. But outside of that, everything's physical damage. So this right here is a nice set to have as well as a backup. Like I said, Leviathan, the stamina set for Mother Sorrow. If you want to, you can either go Viper Sting for a little more poison damage if you wanted to. Pillar of Nirn is nice as well. It's not a bad set to have. Warband. So yeah, so that would be pretty much my main option if you don't have Twice Fang, or you are going into a trial without Twice Fang, is going with Automaton. You can go Hunting's Rage or Leviathan. Also, one of the main sets for DPS wise when it comes to stamina characters. You will get more DPS overall with Reliquin. You wear this on the body instead of Vicious Affinian, and then basically it gives you weapon crit, gives you minor Slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to trial and arena monsters by 5%, gives you more weapon crit, and then your light and heavy attack supply stack of Harmful Winds to your target for 5 seconds. Harmful Winds deals 272 physical damage per stack every 1 second, 20 stacks max. So, if you want a more straight, pure meta, then Reliquins with AY, Reliquins with Warband. Those would all be really nice, or Reliquins with Tooth. But this is an old school meta setup with Two-Fanged and Vicious Finian, and I still rock this quite a bit. You can still pull 40 now with the transmutation crates here. You can still pull 40k plus with it. So it's a pretty nice setup to have, and it for someone like myself who has multiple stamina tins, so that way I don't have to farm multiple sets. Vicious Finian, and I just Two-Fanged works great still. So skills. First skill we're using is Flying Blade. Fire a secret dagger from your sleeve at an enemy dealing 9k physical damage. Also grants major brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 20 seconds. Raining slashes. Slash an enemy with both weapons to cause deep lacerations, dealing 2.8k physical damage with each weapon and causing them to bleed for an additional 13k physical damage over 10 seconds. You also reduce their movement speed by 40% for 4 seconds. Then we have Rearming Trap here. You're going to set a sharpened blade trap at your location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm, and lasts for 1 minute. When triggered, the trap deals 3.2k physical damage, an additional 8.4k physical damage over 6 seconds, and mobilizes the enemy for 6 seconds and grants you minor force, increasing your critical damage by 10%. And if you look at that, right now our crit is 60% even, but oh, that was dubious. Go up. There we go. So it was at 60% even. Pop the weapon power pot, goes up to 70% even. So so we're gonna do a lot. We're gonna be critting a lot, and this gives us a lot of crit damage. It's going to increase that crit damage even more, and that is nice. So, and then we have Power Surge, or Critical Surge, invokes Meridia's name to gain major brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 33 seconds. While active, dealing a critical strike heals you for 3k health. This effect can occur once every 1 second. We're not really using this for the major brutality, because we get major brutality from this and our weapon power pot. So we get 3 different major brutalities coming. We're using this mostly for the heals that we get. This comes in handy when you don't have a healer or something like that. But in trials, you're going to have a dedicated healer. Unless this healer, it's a pug, then I would recommend running Critical Surge, because, if you don't know them, then you're rather safe than sorry. But if you know the healer and you know they're good, then you can always put, Silver Bolts, Circular Protection, Expert Hunter here. You can put one of these here, and it's just going to increase your weapon damage even more, and it's going to increase your damage output even more. So, drop this for one of these, or if you want more clearing, because we don't have a lot of AoE damage outside of our Endless Hell and Caltrops. So you can put Steel Tornado here, or Whirling Blades. Build deals more damage, but it costs more. Or you can do increase the radius and decrease the cost. That deals 7.1. This deals 7.1. But what this does is that it's going to deals up to 100% more damage to enemies with less than 50% health. So you can go Whirling Blaze or Steel Tornado, either one. I personally like Steel Tornado for the reduced cost and increased radius, and it shreds stuff anyways. Or you can put Blade Cloak on. Go Deadly Cloak here, increase the damage dealt, or even Flurry. You can ditch this for Flurry, just spam Flurry over Flying Blades. Whichever one works for you, whichever one you like to do. But if that's the case, I would go with Rapid Strikes. But with me, Rapid Strikes, if they move, you miss that last hit, then you miss a lot of damage, where Flying Blade just deals it instantly. So if you have a dedicated healer, you want more AoE, you can always go with Whirlwind, or even Deadly Cloak here, because both of these are AoE damage. This one's more quicker, but this one pulsates damage. Or you can just flat out go with a Fighter's Guild ability and just increase your weapon damage by 3% more, and either put this down for a little more protection, put this down so you have major savagery at all times, or just in case you need to pull something, you can go with Silver Leash here. Up to you. This is definitely a flex spot, so you can do it with whatever you feel you need to, because we're mostly using it just for the heals, because we get major brutality from this and our pots. And then we have Bound Ornaments. While slotted, your max damage is increased by 8%, and light attack damage is increased by 11%. Um, the thing is, protect yourself with the power of Oblivion, creating a suit of Daedric mail that increases your block mitigation by 36% for 3 seconds. We're not really worried about that. More or less using it just for having a slot. And then our ultimate is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Arm yourself in Maria's Sacred Sword and dispense a Retribution, dealing 12.2k physical damage to enemies in front of you, and an additional 13.5k physical damage over 6 seconds. While slotted, your weapon damage is increased by 5%. Of course, having this slotted, it's more like 8%, because once you have your Slayers up, you get an extra 3% here from the passive. So that's like an extra 8%, and then plus this is 6. So we're actually getting an extra 11%. So if you take this off and put one here, we're going to get an extra 14% just from fire skill passives alone, weapon damage. Back bar. Poison injection. Shoot an arrow coated in buried arrow poison, dealing it at an enemy, dealing 4.7k poison damage, an additional 8.7k poison damage over 10 seconds. The damage over time deals up to 260% more damage to enemies under 50% health. So yeah, so basically, like I was saying earlier, this is physical damage, physical damage, physical damage, physical, physical. Even this does physical damage. So Automaton isn't a bad setup to have outside of Twice Fang when you go into trials. So this is the lonely standout with poison damage, but hey, it's a good ability, so we'll let it slide. We have Endless Hell, launching a multitude of arrows into the skies, rain down, dealing 1.2k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 0.5 seconds for 10 seconds. Caltrops, hurl an exploding ball of caltrops that scatter over the target area, dealing 1.9k physical damage every 1 second, and reducing movement speed by 30%. When the ball of caltrops initially explodes, it deals an immediate 5.9k physical damage. Hurricane, manifest yourself as pure air, buffering nearby enemies with a wind, dealing 852 physical damage every 1 second for 15 seconds. The wind grows in damage and size, increasing up to 150% more damage and up to 9 meters in size. While in its form, you gain Major Resolve, Major Ward, and Minor Expedition, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5.2k and your movement speed by 10%. And then, of course, we have Bound Armaments again on the back bar, because you have to have this double barred. If you don't, the effects drop off. Then on the back bar, we have the Greater Storm Atro. Summon Immobile Storm Atro at the target location. Its arrive deals 7.1k shock damage and stuns enemies for 3 seconds. The Atro zaps the closest enemy, doing 3.5k shock damage every 1 second. An ally near the Atro can activate the Charged Lightning Synergy, granting the ally the Atro Major Berserk, increasing their damage done by 25%. This is why we're mostly running it. It lasts for 28 seconds, and it does deal quite a bit of damage in that. But enemies can also get Major Berserk there, increasing their damage by 25%. But if you don't want to use the Atro, you want to be more for yourself, then Ballista is not a bad set to have. It's going to deal 55.5k physical damage over 5.2 seconds. So that's more instant, where this is, it's going to zap and it's going to increase your allies' damage as well. So it's up to you on what you want to run. I personally like the Storm Atro, but you can always put down Ballista here and go with that, and it won't really be taking away a whole lot. So, but yeah, I believe that is everything. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the bill, and until next time, take care.